Hey everybody, welcome to the Entrepreneur Podcast. Today I'm very excited because I have a guest that's someone very special to what I want to do in fitness industry. He started Edge Body Boot Camp here in Louisville, Kentucky. Greg Claycomb, thank you so much for coming out.
Hey, it's a pleasure.
So I'm going to start with the first question I ask everybody, which is, why did you start the entrepreneur? Why did you choose the entrepreneur path?
Wow, that's an interesting question right off the bat.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I didn't really realize this until I actually had my business going, but, I knew my dad was an entrepreneur as well, obviously, but I didn't realize how much that was instilled in me, just the mindset behind make things happen. Don't wait for it to just happen. Like, you can make anything you want happen. And I had worked for a couple of corporate gyms and then another locally owned gym where the owner and management of the gym were just real subpar, and we had issues. Got into a kind of a rough situation and ended up not working for them anymore, and decided, me and my business partner both left that company within the same time frame. We were like, okay, let's just get this on our own here. We can make this happen. Mm-hmm. And we learned exactly what not to do and how not to treat people from the few experiences that we had in the fitness industry already. And there's a lot of people out there teaching you what not to do. So both of us are just good-hearted people, and we enjoy what we do at the same time. So between watching my dad do it forever and then being put in that position with somebody else that was gung-ho about it, mm-hmm. It was pretty easy just to choose the entrepreneur path.
Did you have any jobs in like college, high school that you just hated that were regular, like minimum wage? Like
I don't know. I've never really hated a job. I enjoy doing my best. Uh-huh. And even like my dad's service that he provides is a tree service. He cuts down trees, and his company, honestly, he has some of the biggest trucks in our city here, so he can take down some monster trees. And even whenever I was working for him a few summers, I enjoyed just lugging around huge logs and throwing them in the back of mm-hmm. trucks. So even though I kind of hated the job, part of me still looked at the challenge of it. And I was 16, I had a job at Rally's, and I'd be trying to make burgers look as good as I could. So I didn't want to go to work at Rally's, but when I got there, it was like, this ain't so bad.
Yeah, you made it. You made the best.
Yeah, so I've always been mindset driven. Like, I always want to make the best of whatever I'm doing.
Yeah, that's good. That's great. Do you think that's helped with what you're doing now? Like, I know because there's such a process, and you actually have to buckle down and know that's what you want to do.
I've been in business over 5 years now. I'll say the first 3.5 to 4 years, right before I got into my new facility here, I didn't do very well with balancing work and personal life. I was a little bit obsessed with business, trying to grow and pay attention to all the details. I would kind of hyper focus on the details, and I don't think it was honestly mentally healthy. Mm-hmm. I had to work on in the past year scaling back on how much I actually focus on all that. And then how much time and effort I put into my personal life as well, because I definitely lost that balance. But there were a lot of pros that came along with obsessing and going over those details, because I was able to expand almost an 8-year plan within 4 years.
Dang, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, now I'm sitting at 27 and don't have too much of a worry with my business. We're growing steady. We have a great culture. Like, working that hard in the beginning and putting that effort in made things a lot easier at this point already in my life.
That's awesome.
I almost feel guilty that I have it this easy.
Well, yeah, you worked so hard in the beginning,
Now that I'm not working that hard, sometimes I do forget or almost feel like I didn't work that hard in the beginning. Yeah, I gave up, what most people would put in 40 hours a week. I worked a lot of 70 and 80-hour weeks. Yeah. And at 23, 24 years old, I didn't do a lot of the things that most kids that age are doing, and I miss it, but I'm still at 27. I'm able to do those same things.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. Really nice. Yeah. So what got you inspired to do a gym and go into the fitness business?
I started off, what got me interested in fitness was I was just a runt. I was in high school when I graduated, about 130 pounds. So skin and bone pretty much.
Yeah.
And that was after I'd hit my growth spurt. So I decided, like, right towards the end of high school, I was like, all right, I'm going to do something about this. I started hitting the weights a little bit. And in the gym, I came across this bodybuilder. His name is Mark Sangigliano. And he was just super cool guy. One day I was wearing a band shirt, and he was like, dude, that's my favorite band. And we ended up just talking. I think he kind of just saw me and knew I didn't really know what I was doing, 17, 18 years old. So he took me under his wing, started talking to me about, what I need to be eating if I want to bodybuild, showed me all the form on the exercises, teach me some technique for the entire workouts and everything, and I was super intrigued. Did bodybuilding with him for like 3 or 4 years, and ended up getting to like 200 pounds. So I put on a substantial amount of muscle, and ended up that didn't really end up being what I wanted to do. I pulled away from bodybuilding. Just wasn't the path for me. But that man and his dedication to me, and just kind of the ability to change my circumstances and how I viewed myself and how other people viewed me, the control that I had in that was super intriguing. And I knew that was like, I could spend the rest of my life doing this.
That's
and
so
showing
cool.
other people that too. Because it's life altering. I went from anxiety and depression as a teenager, worked through it in my early 20s, and now I hardly suffer from those things at all. I have my days, of course, everybody does, but just knowing how much of an impact fitness and health can make in somebody's life, it was a no-brainer for me. I never even thought about it. I just kept going.
Yeah, that's so cool that fitness can control all the aspects in your life, not just the physical part. And that's what I like to try to give as a personal trainer. Like you said, he changed your life, so now you're going to change other people's lives. And I was like, yeah, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. And if you can make a business and career doing that, that's insane.
Yeah, it's really nice.
So what is one thing you would tell your 20-year-old self that you know now that you didn't know then? Like looking back.
Should have let me see these questions beforehand.
Yeah.
20-year-old self.
It's all off the cuff, man.
I think that focusing on what you can control and keeping in mind that a lot of success has to do with your reaction to the things that you can't control was a huge lesson that I learned probably around between 23 and 25 years old. That kind of hit me with the little wisdom jump. And a lot of mistakes that I made in life were because my reaction wasn't great. And people oftentimes put blame on, oh, well, this person or this thing happened, like they did this to me, so that put me in a bad position. But it's actually how you react that puts you in the position that you're in, and you have control over how you react, and that's one of the only things we have control over.
Right.
Unfortunately, I burned some bridges when I was around 20 years old. Most of us do that, make some mistakes, and it was all based off that reaction, not being able to control that part of my life yet.
That's so cool. So you took the bad situations and you still managed to persevere.
Yeah, well, sometimes I lost it, like the job I had before. Without mentioning any names, I don't want to down anybody, but at the same time, it's my experience. I lost my job. I was fired for a choice of words that I made because my boss owed me money. He was severely late on my paycheck, and I had some bills due. But I had the choice on how to respond to that, and I took some actions and words that weren't really necessary. It was emotional, and at 21 years old, I made that mistake, and it ended up being good for me because now I'm in this position. But I had to go through a lot of hardship, and there were several months where I had no money. I was couch hopping on friends. I was homeless. So it put me in a position where I'm sure that was super unattractive. I ended up getting out of a relationship around that time, and my mindset was tested a lot. While I've always been positive and driven, there was a lot of negative days during that time in my life too, because the result of my actions. I let myself get out of control.
So that's awesome that you mentioned that, because that segues also really well to the next question. What does perseverance mean to you? And what are some stories where you had something like awful happen and you still managed to push through?
Okay.
Asking the hard-hitting questions today.
Perseverance is everything. I mean, it goes hand in hand with consistency. I mean, they're almost the same thing, really. When you face that hardship, it's natural to question things, and I got kind of lucky that I didn't, like I said, I haven't hardly questioned what I'm doing at all. I don't have much of a backup plan. This is what I do. But at the same time, there were a lot of periods where it was like, man, if I don't get a few new members here, I am at risk of going out of business. That's a struggle for all young businesses. You look at the analytics on how many people go out of business in the first 2 years versus 5 years and all that stuff. It's like, it's scary that you might be one of the odds and go out of business, but you have to keep going, or else the only way to give yourself a chance is just to not quit. You have to persevere through the fear and through all the little mistakes that you make or your learning experiences. Mm-hmm. If you don't, it's like, if you quit, you know what you're getting into.
Oh yeah, you quit instantly. Quitting's the number one way to failure, and I think fitness teaches that too. So fitness teaches some really good life lessons.
Oh yeah, it's a huge metaphor.
Yeah. So what do you think's the hardest part about starting your own gym? Because I one day hope to open my own gym.
Okay. Branding yourself and building trust is one of the most difficult things.
Oh yeah.
I would say having a combination of education and personal experience, having learned and having something to show for your knowledge, combined with your self-practices. Obviously if you don't have any experience doing what you're doing, people aren't going to trust that you really know what you're getting into, and they don't want to pay you if they don't trust you. So I would say in the beginning, one of the hardest things was to spend all the time writing some articles, putting work into myself to get the results on myself, finding people that would just trust me and let me use them as a guinea pig to build my little testimonial portfolio. Because before I had all that, nobody really wanted to listen to me. Now that I have a portfolio with hundreds of weight loss successes, people see that and they're like, yeah, sure, let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
But when you have none, man, that's the most difficult part.
Yeah, that's the
no accolades.
Yeah, that's the part of the snowball effect. Like you just build it so slow to build off, just like personal training. Yeah, because it's so hard to get the first few clients. Because why should I pay all this money to have you train me?
Yep. And in the beginning, like I said, I started with 4 clients. When you're low on funds, you're relying on word of mouth. 4 people, let's say they tell 5 people each. Okay, that's 20, and then it's about 5% of people will come in that you mention it to. So you might get 1 new client, and that it does continue to expand that way. But now that we've got almost 200 members here, if they all tell 5 people, that's 1,000. And that's a much greater effect than 20. So again, the snowball effect, it really works in favor of business owners. It's just that first couple of years, you have to grind it out and do everything you can to make sure people know who you are and make sure that they know you are the man that will help them get what they want.
That's awesome. So a little turn on a question, but how was school for you? Did you like school?
I've never liked school, but I think I'm a decent student. I don't enjoy reading much, but anything I end up finding myself reading, even to this day, I'm still trying to continue my education, and it's always been like applicable material. I still have, right now I'm reading a book on like trigger points for your muscles. It's a therapeutic book. Awesome. So I'll pick out a chapter in that and just dive into it for an hour or something here or there, but the process of school was pretty grueling for me, and I'm still working on enjoying being a student, honestly.
Are you in school right now, or?
No, I am looking to go back though. I had some debts that I had to finish paying at U of L before I could return, and I paid those off not too long ago, about a year ago. But I have plans at the end of this summer. I still want to get my nutritionist certification.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I have an ISSA certification, but I'd like to get one other type
That's
of
what I have. I have
well.
ISSA.
Because ISSA, it's a very balanced program. And
yeah, you learn a little about nutrition, but you definitely need the certification.
I know so much more about nutrition that thing ever taught me, and I'm under certified for my knowledge right now, and I'm really looking forward to having something to show for what I know, so that there's that accreditation there.
Yeah, and that's the crazy part. Once you get that nutrition certification, that opens up because now you can actually prescribe nutrition plans because you couldn't do that like legally without
I
it.
can recommend it, but
yeah, exactly.
And then I can't market for nutrition right now either. Without fear of being a hypocrite.
It's crazy how many people ask. They're like, "Oh, can you give it me?" Like, and you're just like, "I really can't," because you're working for a gym and you don't want to get fired. So I've been thinking about it, but I think I'm trying to perfect my personal training before I do that. Because it would be way too early for me to try to get nutrition certified when I'm still like juggling like 4 to 6 clients only.
Yeah, push forward. I'd say that physiology. If you can learn physiology and mechanics, get that down, like you're saying, learn that to a T, and then put that nutrition to work. That's the combo.
That's the killer combo right there for any personal trainer, I think. So, what does a full day in the life of you look like? Like an average, like. What you're doing from wake up, how early you wake up, to when you're going to bed.
Oh man, you asked me about how early I wake up. Everybody's gonna know now. I sleep till like 8 or 9 every day. I don't wake up early. Yeah, and a lot of business guys and a lot of my clients even give me crap all the time. They're like, dude, you gotta wake up at 5 or 6 a.m. But it's just never really been in me. Even in high school, like I was the kid that woke up at 7 a.m., rode his bike to school, and ate Pop-Tarts on the way walking to class at 7:30. Like I don't do mornings very well, but on the flip side, I'm here till about 9 at night, and then I go to the gym and work out after that. So
do you work out here?
That's how I live my life. I go here, and I also have a membership at LA Fitness. They have a basketball court.
Yeah.
I incorporate that a lot because I play a lot of ball.
That's so cool.
I wake up. I do take my mornings a little bit casual, about the first hour and a half. I make a breakfast. I eat the same thing every morning for breakfast. I make sure I get my good start. I normally do a little bit of planning, check my text messages on my business phone, see what my day is going to go on. Try to make it here between 10 and 11 a.m. I usually have a few morning clients, personal training stuff, maybe a podcast or two. And then middle of the day, I'm only managing. I'm on the computer doing some emails, marketing information, making sure everything for my business is kept up. Then we'll pick back up here anywhere between like 3:30 and 4:30, and we're with clients till about 8 p.m. So at that point, that's whenever I usually try to start wrapping it up around here. Get out of here around 8:30, maybe 9 o'clock most nights, and then head to the gym, hit my workout. Normally there till it closes. They kick us out at 11. Then go home, eat, take a shower, chill out for a few, and get ready to do it again tomorrow.
That's awesome.
It's the life.
You see, I like the grind. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't like that. But if you're doing stuff that you absolutely love every day, and it's going to be a little different every day because training's a little different every day.
And my business is constantly changing. It's
that's
having to learn new things about the economy, to keep up. And I'm always trying to progress my business to, I have something good here, but it's staying hungry and always trying to improve what I have, stay ahead of the game. I got a few ideas soon that I'll be revolutionizing boot camp in our area.
Oh, are those on the down low secret cases?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
They'll come out by the end of the year.
Are they new gym cases? Or
not
just
location in Louisville.
Oh, okay.
But just some things we're going to do around here. That it's not brand new. I'm not inventing anything, but there's no other boot camps doing it. So
that's so cool. So you have a boot camp and you work at a conventional gym. What's like the pros and cons of each, like a boot camp and a regular gym?
Well, conventional gyms, man, the startup cost on those is hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I was looking
sometimes millions. So it's like, coming from my past, my family definitely isn't rich. Like we kind of lived in the ghetto for a little while, even when I was a kid. And then as a young adult, man, I had nothing. Like I said, I started with 4 clients and had just gotten fired. So we didn't have funds, couldn't get approved for loans or anything. So starting up a boot camp, I think my first month I spent like $500 on equipment and then operated out of parks. So you have that option to start your business small and work up to something like what I have now. Whereas a standard gym with, all the pieces of equipment and everything, if you start off with $500 worth of equipment, you don't have anything. There's like, you get a bench press and a squat rack used, maybe. And nobody's going to come to your gym. So there's really no chance if you don't have a full business plan and the ability to fund a conventional gym. There's a boot camp. I've got the option to treat my business 10 different ways. There's still guys, I know guys who never got a location. they've operated for years in public parks, or rented a church's ceremony room to do on a weekly basis. They do camps all day long, all week long, but their overhead's minimum and they work for themselves. So
yeah, so that is hard. I knew conventional gyms were way more expensive. I looked at like the price of a treadmill. That'd be my budget right there. The treadmill.
I've seen a $5,000 treadmill.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Easy.
A local gym here has a $10,000 leg press machine.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's like, it's an excellent leg press. I love it, but $10,000 for one piece of equipment is somewhat insane. And then you got to think about the building too. Like, I have a 10,000 square foot facility, and I'm the largest boot camp in our city. The overhead here, I took a risk because I'm passionate about what I do. I've got to be the best. I'm going to provide everything that I can for my clients. But on the flip side, I mean, 10,000 square foot on a conventional gym is tiny. I'm the biggest, but I would be the smallest gym if I would. That's like an Anytime Fitness, a 24-hour gym. It's not. If you go to LA Fitness, man, they got like 50 or 60,000 square feet. The building, the overhead for the rent by itself has to be insane.
That's what I was just thinking about. I was like, how LA Fitness is a huge business model. That's crazy.
I've seen a few gyms, talk to the owners or managers, and I've heard rents being anywhere from $12,000 to $20,000 per month in these corporate gyms in our area. Yeah, and that's just for the rent. That's not even counting employees or LG&E costs, all that stuff.
How do you find a location to house your gym or boot camp, whatever you want to do? Because I know of the stories of people doing warehouses and stuff, but I feel like it's harder to find like a strip mall kind of thing like this.
Yeah, I got really lucky. My story's kind of cool, but really you have to establish the direction you want to go in, because the warehouse option was something that I considered, but there's pros and cons to each direction too. And when I weighed it out, I was like, no, I want a nice facility that has everything that we need in there. It's very hard to find a warehouse that has locker rooms with showers built in and everything, or that is in a decent location. You have to usually travel to like a business district for those type of places. But I used to live across the street from here and those apartments over there. So I would look out my window and see this place, and ironically, the guy that I mentioned that I worked for a while was in this spot with his business.
Oh, that's convenient.
And he used to eat me alive though, because I moved in those apartments after I had already been fired. I was already running Edge Body Boot Camp. Yeah. But I moved in those apartments, and then a couple months later, he moved his business in this building. So it drove me nuts, because I was like, that guy, man, karma's not doing his job. So within my lease though, he makes poor decisions left and right. It's unfortunate, but he is who he is. And he ended up not being here for very long. He left and had to downsize. And I was like, man, if that place is ever open, whenever my lease is up, I was in the middle of a 3-year lease. This was like 2.5 years ago. I had a 1.5 years left on the lease. And then I said, the end of this year though, if that place is still open, I'm getting it. And then December came around and nobody was here, so I called them, and they were super eager. They cut me. I got a little bit of a deal for as nice as this spot is. Luck definitely plays a part in finding that location.
It's crazy.
But, I mean, I shopped around. My locations before here, I had another little strip mall, 3,000 square foot facility. It was about 3 miles away from here. It was a super long rectangular shape, like one of those little cosmetic beauty shops or something. And it wasn't ideal for what I was doing, but the rent for the square footage was decent, and it was a place that I needed, because before that I was subleasing in the back of somebody's gym. They kept on raising my rent.
That's awful.
Yeah, so it was like, it got to the point where I was sitting here going, dang, I'm paying $10 a square foot to sublease. I can do that on my own and have a lot more of a legitimate feel to my business. So you just kind of take it one step at a time, and when things need to change, you just start looking.
Yeah.
You do everything you can.
How do you look? Is there like websites that show like? Because I know like Zillow, you look for houses. Is there a place that you look for?
Yeah, there are some
business places.
I can't remember the name of the website right now, but they have a commercial portion to it. And I have a couple of commercial real estate agent friends that I've made along the way that you talk to them. But for the most part, the easiest thing to do is establish the area that you want to locate, and then, drop around.
Yeah.
See what's open, call the numbers. You network just like you do in any other aspect of business. You just call the real estate agents that are responsible for the property and ask them when as soon as you can get in there and look at it is.
That's awesome. So you mentioned that one bodybuilder friend was a good mentor. Did you have any other mentors?
Oh yeah, my business partner Dustin Edge. He's a fantastic mentor. I'm 27 years old. Without saying too much, I believe he's a few years older than me. Not
27
not
is crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, man. I don't know what I feel about it, honestly. I'm me, but
yeah, no, that's awesome.
I'm definitely more fitness oriented. I design the workout programs and kind of have the ideas behind the location building, whereas he's an excellent business mind. So a lot of times, still working on those reactions. I'll get hit with certain approaches from people on the business side and the client side, and I can always consult him though as a mentor and say, hey man, I got an approach like this. How do you think I should probably handle this?
Awesome.
And you always have your initial thoughts, but then hearing somebody who is really down to earth, grounded, and has their stuff together, they're a decent person. Hearing their perspective, you can combine it with how you feel and really make a good decision. Having that resource available at all times,
it's crazy.
It's hard to fail when you got a good mentor.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to zone in on, one that could help me with exactly, that has the same visions as I have. That's the hard part is for me is trying to get connections, because I do get a lot of awesome connections, but it's hard to find people that have time that want to work with you full time.
Yeah, and even me and him though, we have difference in opinion on our visions. While we both were owners of Edge Body Boot Camp, and he actually has his location in Owensboro that he has full ownership of, and they run things just a little bit different than we do here in Louisville. Not to say that the entire program is different, but it's just we have the same niche, a couple different opinions, and we just kind of let it go. Got to focus on I guess, but we're lucky to have each other because without having my business partner, couldn't have done it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, partnerships go a long way.
So what do you think were some things when you were 20, some good steps that you took? You mentioned doing the boot camps in the park. Did you start doing that when you were around 20 years old?
Yeah, actually, let's see. Yeah, I was 19 or 20. The first boot camp that I ever did, I was working at Urban Active, RIP. And I was doing personal training there, making way too little money. And then it was weird. You would do your thumbprint on this thing every time you did a personal training session, and your client would do that, and that's how they paid you.
What?
Was per thumbprint. Yeah, you got $7 per thumbprint, which ended up being $14 an hour if you can book clients back to back to back to back. But it never worked that way. You'd have a client half-hour break, client hour-long break, or 2 hours sometimes. But then in the meantime, they would want you to go and pick up weights on the floor, but you weren't getting paid for that. So I kind of was sitting here thinking, like, man, we got all these clients, and I'm not getting paid all the time I'm here. There's got to be a more efficient way to do this. So I was like, man, if I could train 10 people at once, that would be key. So for my clients, I did a boot camp at Urban Active. They didn't even have one. I asked the manager, I said, hey, can I do a class for my clients, all of them, a free one? And he said, yeah. And all my clients came in, all my personal training clients on Saturday. I had 12 people, and it was the most terrible, generic boot camp in the world. I didn't know what I was doing really. But they loved it. So I was like, man, this is the way to go. And within a couple months, I had a buddy, Richard, that we were doing them at the park. And I was like, all right, forget Urban Active, man, because I made like triple the money in half the time and didn't get asked to do stuff when I wasn't getting paid. So that was kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah, that's so cool. So you do have that start-off job, and then you just kind of work your way up.
You got to have a start-off job. I mean,
yeah.
Working for a corporate gym, you're not going to make a lot of money, but the experience that you get, it is worth it. Mm-hmm. It just sucks.
Yeah, that's
the client's paying a ton of money that isn't going to the trainer, but it's definitely a stepping stone in the right direction.
Yeah, that's the point I'm at right now. I'm at that level 1.
Mm-hmm.
So let's end it with this last question because I know you're a busy guy. And this is the final question that I've been asking everyone. It's just a kind of a funny one. And some people have a hard time trying to think and figure it out. But what's the craziest business idea? Maybe one that you had as a kid growing up. You're like, oh, this could work.
Oh, man. All right. Well, shout out Brian Hope, my best friend when I was a kid here. See, we was like 14, 15 years old, and me and Brian were going to build a combination golf course, dirt bike track.
Oh my God.
Yeah, which would never work in a million years. We must have been like 12, because I couldn't have been 15 saying that stuff. But that's what we did. We for some reason were really into golf, like 2 young kids in middle school, and we would like ride our bikes to the golf course and stuff. And then we lived out in the West End, and near the river, kind of our neighborhood. You would drive to the end of the street, and there was the street dead ends, and you were on the flood wall. So you could literally just take your dirt bike. We had a couple little dirt bikes. We'd ride them back around the flow ball and just go at it for like 3 or 4 hours straight. I mean, there was a couple times, cops would come back here and we ran from them. But between those 2 interests, though, golf and dirt bikes was our life. And we would draw up golf courses and dirt bike tracks. We would just on piece of paper draw them and be like, yep, we're going to start this business.
That's so funny.
Yeah. As a young kid. So whoever has that and creates that first.
Okay.
I need my money. Let me get my royalties for that one.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, that was cool.
I learned a lot. Well,
awesome,
thank you.
Man. And I'm looking forward to being in contact in the future too.
Yeah,
this was cool, and I'll do whatever I can to help you in the right direction.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.